George, wake up, George.
What's going on? What's
Okay.
going on?
Don't panic, but your alarm didn't quite go off, and we're a bit late for the next Thom-Cast.
Oh, is it September?
It's February 2016.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah, we got to... The studio's not ready, nothing's happened, the janitor's fucked off, we're doomed. Matt,
How are we going to solve this?
I don't know. We need a Matt.
Hello, everyone. Enterprising Engine 93 here to save the Thom-Cast. Am I right or am I right?
Oh my god!
We have a savior! Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Thom-Cast. We realize we have been dead for a really long time. I think the last episode was in August. Matt and George, who couldn't make it today. So we're having a special mini episode for you guys, which will be a half episode of Thom-Cast. Well, not even a half, but you get the idea. It's just going to be us talking about the past, the present, and the future with regards to what's been happening. And as I did mention earlier, Matt and George aren't here, which means I'm on my own, which is why I've brought on the help of a very special guest. Please welcome Matt, otherwise known as Enterprising Engine 93.
Hello, one of the many Matts is here in the fandom to help out with this little interlude, and thank you very much for having me. It's been a crazy year, I'll have to say, for Thomas and Friends, but a very good one, too.
Yeah, madness, but beautiful, beautiful madness. And the 93 in his username is actually not him being the 93rd Enterprising Engine, but actually the 93rd Matt in the fandom.
That would completely make sense.
I don't know, I make this stuff up. I'm just the host.
No, you were absolutely right. Keep going on your hunches. That was absolutely correct.
Right, yes. So we're going to just, let's just wing it. 2015. Pretty spectacular year, I'd say. Like, it was the 70th.
It was the 70th. Great year to be a Thomas fan. There was so much catered to the older fans this year. It was kind of stunning.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't believe how much we were getting. And a lot of experimentation.
Yes, the experimentation. Like, the thing I appreciate more when the writers experiment with their stories is that if it succeeds, there's a lot more payoff than if they play it safe. And I think in terms of payoff, we definitely got a lot of that this year. Well, last year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's quick summaries on the two specials of yesteryear.
Right, well, I think it started March 3rd with The Adventure Begins. The U.S. download came out then. I don't know why it came out in the U.S. first, but I also, since I had a U.S. iTunes account, I downloaded it in New Zealand. So no one in New Zealand could watch The Adventure Begins, but I could download it on my American account. I don't think New Zealand and Australia got The Adventure Begins until like
the end of
fall,
the year,
which was kind of bad. So, it was
equality.
The special was fantastic. It was, playing it safe with material, but the fact that it happened and exists and a coffee pot was acknowledged in the CGI series, there are so many things right with that special. The music was just a trip to another world. It was like falling in love all over again, hearing some of those old tunes, and Jerome and Judy were interesting, kind of like anthropomorphizing, or however you pronounce it, the breakdown crane a little bit. And Thomas we were given so many little gifts and Easter eggs, and just like a completely loving CGI look back at all the things where Thomas came from, and making it, in some places, closer to the Railway series, but also introducing these classic stories in a light where the new generation can sort of easily access it.
Yeah, it was just very charming, I found.
Charming, yeah.
And, I think it felt like the thing I loved about this year especially is that everything felt like just that tad bit more genuine.
Yes, that is true too.
And the new animation style is gorgeous.
The animation has come so far in a short amount of time. Like season 17, I'm like, the stories are better, but it's gonna take me a while to like this.
And then the series 18 and 19 are like, why wait? Ta-da!
Yeah, even 18, like they were still figuring out how to animate the faces with the shading. Like there was still a little work to be done. But then 19, I'm like, hello there. There are fences in the background, and the
Yes, like
faces look great. Like the
the
little
direction,
details.
the
The clouds
direction is
move.
spectacular. Like the camera does stuff; it doesn't stay in the same place anymore. It's also cool. It's just the sort of thing that makes you go, you know what? We can never get that bad again. Now you get that feeling that it's just gonna go up from here, and that's a nice feeling. And like, Slottl's like the general consensus I found, and this is like really general, is that people either love it or just like it. There's no sort of I've never known anyone who's like, oh, it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh,
Which
because it was very well done. It
yeah,
was very different. And if you took any of it out of context and tried to explain to someone what happened, they'd think you were crazy, which is also kind of delightful. With the pirate ship chase and like, oh, by the way, I want to be pirate Huck's dynamite at Thomas, and you're just kind of like, what? That does not sound like the show we are currently watching. It happens. He gets hit in the face with an oar and a toolbox. Like,
we
what?
are Ryan. We are just sitting in our seats expecting a normal summer story, and then suddenly, pirate. Yeah, but it's just so you can really like the thing I think what the 70th and all of last year has really done is make you realize like they tried and you really felt the effort they're putting in, and even if you don't like the whole the references and all that jazz, it's still like you can still appreciate that they are trying, and they are trying a lot more than a lot of the other creative teams for any show really have done in the past.
Oh, very much so. And in terms of the fan service in the film, because there is an instance of it that everyone talks about, and it's with the notorious, you know, Duck-like engine that we hear so much about. Based on how much people have been begging for Duck to appear, before Duck came back in 17, we have gotten a very proportionate amount of Duck brought into the series just to sort of appease this want, where now it's actually starting to backfire. That one moment where this is like Duck's only moment in the movie, actually, where he's like, haven't seen you two in a while. And I'm just kind of like, well, that's true. This is kind of cute, but this is like,
It
it's
just
Donald
suggests
Duck.
that Duck is a massive idiot, really. He is just so stupid. Um, but I like you see where the thought process was coming from, even if it doesn't quite succeed. And that's what I like about this year in general is that you see where they're coming from as much as where the show's going.
Very much so. And the fact that, like, well, this is a genuine moment where the show took 30 seconds to please you and me. These very older fans who care so much for the source material, and they're trying to please us there. And they can't always, do it every time. But you see, like, that was a bit of fan service, but also introducing the Arlsdale engines and also doing it in a creative way that makes them memorable. I would have never dreamed of turning them into a musical trio,
No.
but that was incredible. And I'm sure that kids watching it love those three just because of how accessible and fun they made them.
Yes, I bet children of the world love Tiny Henry, Tiny Gordon, and Tiny James.
You see, when I read the Railway series as a kid, I thought that's exactly what they were.
That's what
Why
any
is
kid
Gordon
would
so
think.
small?
But it's true though. That's essentially what they are. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do use that joke to their strengths in later episodes for this year. But
Well, season 20, based on everything that Lee Pressman seems to leak, it seems like it's going to be interesting.
yeah, Series 20, Lee Pressman's final year as a writer. Conveniently, I don't think. It's just. I'm not sure what to make of all the whole leaking thing. I think fans, it would help to just sort of, wait till the stuff actually comes out.
Yeah, also, like, if a fan, like, let's say, kind of like hears from Lee, or if it's even true, like, I'm all for the news that I've been hearing, but it's also like it gets broadcast on Twitter. So like I'm not like even looking for it sometimes, but I sort of see like, yo, I
Yeah.
heard from this guy and he says this, and I'm just like, oh wow, like great, Daisy's going to appear, but also like we don't have to ask him. Like, we can just wait around for a bit too. But
Yeah.
I am so like that when someone says like, "Oh yeah, someone filmed an episode that aired in Japan and it's filmed on a potato camera," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching it. I'm
Yeah.
always going to. I'm always going to do it." You know, it's just.
Yeah.
I watched King of the Railway in Polish, like when it came. I actually did. I'm admitting to the truth. I actually did that.
You know what the funny thing is? I did as well.
This is a real talk
Really,
right now, so all
yeah,
the
it's
details are coming out.
dedicated. Well, it was like I didn't have an hour. I no, but it's funny though because it's like Thomas is one of those shows you just. It's one of those shows you can just guess what they're saying without having to understand it, and it's very visual storytelling. And I'm just trying to find cheap excuses for watching it in Polish. Um, but yeah, that was it's good fun. And shall we move on to quickly another big development of 2015?
Oh yeah.
And I think, and there's something Matt here is very, very heavily involved with,
Hmm.
the Creator Collective.
Oh yes, this
That's,
bad boy.
it's a bit of a, you snuck that one up on us, didn't you? Um, it's sort of, hello, I see Caleb's uploaded a new video. Oh, that's not on Caleb's chat. What?
Oh,
That was me the morning the first trailer was uploaded.
okay.
But it's it's an interesting experiment, and I am liking seeing how it's playing out. It's very it's curious in a nice way. I like it.
It is very curious because it's also hearing about it. I thought it was a joke. I had a YouTube message in my spam folder from a person I didn't know who said they were working with Thomas and Friends to produce this new series for the channel. And of course, I kind of thought it was one of those like fake
Fake,
ad
yeah.
things that tries to swindle you out of stuff. But I like kind of like I noticed that they also sent it to my Facebook page. And I was like, oh, like they found me and everything. Like usually I don't go the extra mile. So I like
Crap! They
responded.
found us. Run!
And I had found out that the train modeler, Lucas, and Caleb Train, and Caleb, they had all been contacted, and this team was sort of being rallied together. And they sort of had this plan for telling stories and getting people around the world. They were thinking about doing unboxing videos or stories. They were kind of figuring out what to do. And eventually we sort of came up with a model for this sort of three-part episodic series filmed around the world with different Thomas tubers and bringing in more and more people as time went on. And we definitely had to get our feet wet. It was different because all these people, they've known collaboration, including myself, but this wasn't the extra step. This was sort of, in a way, having a boss and working together and, writing and also having someone else film your work and have someone else be in charge of casting. And it's a process. It sort of feels like it's like Parks and Recreation, where the pilot is a lot different than what the general like groove of the show is going to be. And I
Ooh.
think with 3 series under our belt, I feel like we're getting towards where it almost feels like Parks and Recreation right now, especially moving forward.
Okay,
It's been yeah.
now
Sorry,
that
you
you've
go.
made the Parks and Recreation comparison, I'm more sold on where this is going. Because it's been interesting to see it like evolve. Because it's a very odd beast in the sense that I don't think the creative is each of your like strongest work. I think you've all like done better individually. But what I like seeing with the collective is seeing how you guys mesh together. That makes sense?
It's definitely a very powerful blend. You see everyone's distinct talents. Lucas is probably so beyond his years, and I'm not sure how old he is, but he just like he for like directing and getting these moving shots and sort of having this like upper crusty like sense of how to like structure the shots and everything. He is really ahead of the game, and I learned so much from each member in a lot of ways. And I'm trying to, how do I word this? It's definitely like, it would be wrong if you watched a collective video and it's like, oh, this is just like Enterprising Engines. Like, I have a flavor, but it shouldn't be just my flavor.
Yeah.
It's not the right way to go about it. I think it would still be wrong if like, oh, this is just like Enterprising Engines when they lit up those cannons and blew up that building. I'm like, no, that's not how we're going to do this. But it's also sort of going along with how they want, what they want to accomplish with the series, the certain things that we have to meet, while also bringing in our creativity, and finding that harmony is something to get used to. But I think we're starting to find out the limits that we can push and where we have to compromise. In the most recent part today, I couldn't believe we got away with this, but one of the lines we wrote for Diesel 10 was, I'm going to scrap you once I catch you, or something along those lines. And I was just like, we got away with that?
It's sort of like, yep, you level up. You know, you can now use the threat of death.
No, we've definitely leveled up, because I had never pushed that boundary until, I think, no, Trent definitely wrote that in. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think we can do that. And it's like, well, we're going to see. And no one said anything, and it's uploaded, so we got it passed.
Too late now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it because it's in the sense that I like seeing how it's getting better, and like seeing how everyone's sort of coming into their own with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely the sort of thing where I want to see it like go into the future.
Yeah, the good news is I can't see too far ahead into the future, but if all goes as planned, the next story will be a one-off story. That's all I really know about it right now, but we're still experimenting a little bit. But hopefully, oh, George, are you here?
Oh God, George! Hi,
Hello. Hi.
George, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. We're just talking some business about life and collectives and Thomas and all that good stuff.
You realize I'm going to leave this in the final edit because this is hysterical.
Wait, are we recording?
We've been recording for a while, George.
Shit.
Yep, this is all staying in. And so, back from his long night of partying, my co-host, George.
Sounds like me. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to Thom-Cast.
This is a special mini episode as far as I'm concerned, because that's what it started out to be, and that's what it's going to end up being.
And that is okay.
So you were saying, Matt?
I might have lost my train of thought a little bit. Oh, I did not mean for that pun. I am so sorry. I did not mean that. I apologize profusely. We're still in a bit of an experimental phase, but I'm really thinking that we've definitely found the groove, and it's been very successful. It's been a lot of fun, and seeing everyone's talent come together, and also sort of seeing that it's designed so more and more faces and people will be brought into the frame. Obviously, starting out, it had to be kind of like a core and then sort of work our way, but we're definitely seeing more and more people join in. I know on good authority that there's going to be some users who will be going out of their comfort zone, doing things you have never seen before. Even in the comp version of Gordon's Grand Adventure next week, we have some spectacular wooden railway footage that is just going to blow people's minds. And it's not me, and it's not Thomas Wooden episodes, but it's someone who is a pro, and I can't wait for people to see it, because people are really going above and beyond, and new faces all the time. We got Christopher Derrick. I think that's a huge victory, and a lot of fun things have been happening.
I have to...
Oh, yeah, go.
Oh, yeah, go.
Oh, well, I have to say that I think one of the strengths of Creative Collective, from what I've seen, is just the massive springboard and the potential that you have. I think it's really nice to see the different ways that that's going to be and has been utilized. I really have to congratulate you guys on, how, hopefully as well, how it's just going to continue to expand. I think that'll be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And also striking the balance between the stories that fans want to see, but also don't know they want to see, because you don't want to do completely one or the other. You should always find a balance of both. Because when you see
Of
something
course.
that you want but you didn't know you want, that's so much more gratifying than just like, I want a story of Thomas on the branch line and make it cute. I'm like, no, I want Den and Dart or Thomas the babysitter, like something that like I couldn't ask for, but then I see it and I'm like, yes, this is wonderful. So for the future, definitely, I'm just like being a part of it. Like I feel like I can't wait to film some of my own stuff simply because I've learned so much in the collective. It's sort of made me want to step up my game even more, like trying to keep up with Caleb Train shots and all these, like everyone really. Like Trent's got like crazy animation going on. You sort of have to find your way. Like what's my individual strength too. So like it's really made everyone rise to the occasion. I didn't know Roro Ortiz until we started making this, and he is just a force to be reckoned with, and he does not even speak English very well. He's just so awesome. He writes it very well. Pronunciation is his problem, but fantastic. Like he is, Roro is just incredible. He films outside in Chile, and it makes me so jealous.
Oh man, the scenery must be something.
Oh, the sceneries. He films mid-earthquake. We were messaging him once, and he's like, "Oh, sorry guys, earthquake. I gotta stop for a few minutes." I'm like, "Do you mean a few minutes or the rest of the day?" Like, "Oh, it's only like a level 6. I'll be okay." And I'm just like, "Roro!"
The collective's not worth it.
But he's a tough cookie and one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I tried to be bilingual and speak my limited Spanish with him, and it was a failure. But you know, he's a really nice guy.
At the very least, you didn't accidentally insult him while speaking a language you barely understood.
I really hope I did not. I think I said peaches inappropriately. I thought something was meant something, but I kept saying peaches, and he's like, "Wow, you really like fruits or something," and I was just like, "Oh no."
Good lord.
And I think talking of the collective, that moves us swiftly on to the future in terms of what to expect from the brand in 2016. Now, before we move on to the new series and the new specials and the new everything, before we started recording, Matt revealed to me something very interesting in terms of merchandising and minis and crossovers. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yes, I saw on Twitter that there's going to be a My Little Pony minis crossover.
Yes, this is what I've wanted since day one. As soon as I was born, I knew one thing in life I wanted to see. Perfect, thank you.
It's the sort of thing, it's the sort of news that's just gonna have the perfect 50-50 split down the middle. You're gonna have the ones who love it, the ones who hate it, and the ones who just don't give a damn. Which isn't a 50-50 split, I realize in my mind, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
What
it's
do you
not as
think of it,
intense. Well, it's not for me, but I also realize that there's a significant part of the fandom that would really love this. So I think it's just one of those things where I'm like, well, that's not for me. If it makes someone happy, that's fine. But I think, yeah, it's interesting because, wow.
I want to know about the legal wrangling with that. Hasbro and Mattel, what?
Yeah, God, next thing you know, it'll be like Lego minis. Build your own minis.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I would be all for that. I want an Emmett Thomas. That's what I want.
Oh my god.
But you see, that would totally drive people insane too. Like it's one of those things where like, oh, I would love Lego minis, and everyone's like, no, no, no. Too weird.
Stop before it's too late.
Unikitty Percy. You know. That's gonna turn some heads.
There's that Lego Dimensions game, isn't there, that's recently come out? I'd like to see a Thomas the Tank Engine add-on
Thomas
pack
the
for that.
Tank Engine amiibo.
Oh, I know, but Thomas was
Super
only
Smash
made
Bros.
in
Brawl, Thomas.
Oh my god.
And away from the silly merchandise talk, let's go. I just wanted to mention it for that one very inconvenient bit of news. Back to the main focus. We've got this year a planned special, The Great Race, and Series 20 of the show.
Do we?
Yes, we do, Jidge.
Yeah.
And series 20 of the show.
What?
Which is...
Series 20?
Yeah, I know! Surprising. So, what do you guys think? What are we excited about? What's the big thing? And they revealed the designs of some of the international engines for Via Wooden Railway, of all things.
If I could have my little 2 cents on it, I think gradually as the years have progressed, we've been building towards definitely a more multicultural fleet of engines on Sodor, and I think this is definitely this is the biggest thing we've got to, and I think it's really going to appeal to all markets, and I think it's a really great way to get different engines that represent different countries, because obviously Thomas is an international brand, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be really
Like, I think in terms of this special being released, like, internationally, it's a genius move by Hit. And I know, like, people complain that not everyone's going to remember all 12 international engines. But that's kind of the point. Because like how, while people here don't think much of Hero, Hero is, like, the most popular character in Japan above Thomas. So...
Yeah.
The way they're designing it is it's not 12 international engines for everyone to take away, but the nations that those engines are representing, they're going to become huge hits in those nations. That's like an almost guarantee. It's like that sort. It's like the perfect storm to just spread talking trains across the world. I say this like it's a Bond villain's plan. It's not. Hit aren't Spectre. Sharon Miller is not Christoph Waltz.
I mean, what kid
You put that
doesn't like
very
racing
well.
as well? I think, racing is definitely it kind of weirdly goes hand in hand with the brand. I think it's something that's going to be a very interesting aspect. I'd like to see how it plays out in the episodes.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of seen how it's played out in like a few Series 19 episodes, and I think that wasn't too bad.
All I want is a race between Jeremy the Jet Plane and Tiger Moth. I think it would be the race for the ages.
That's all I want now.
For the ages of the ages.
That's all I want.
Harold could be ref. He's just holding like a finishing flag from his base.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Now attach a machine gun to Tiger Moth. It could just be like a proper
Don't steal my idea. Don't steal my idea.
I think they're going to go for the different mediums. Like they're going to go not just engine races, but maybe like at sea or in what kind of.
I think they will. You could have like a race with Skiff and Captain.
Ooh, that'd be quite nice. But who would really win? We know who would win.
Skiff, because he would cheat and go on rails.
Yeah. But then Tiger Moth and Jeremy, not really a race, is it?
it's a thrashing by Jeremy. But it's sort of I think like whereas the focus of last year and the 70th was pretty much all about the past, this year is very much about what's to come, and it's about how they're going to expand, which I think is arguably more exciting if you think about it, because there's just so much more that's unknown towards it.
Yeah.
I really like the experimentation too. Oh, sorry, George.
No, sorry. I was literally about to say the same thing. I really like the. Might agree or not. I feel like Series 19 was definitely the most experimental series we've had for a while, and I hope they continue that actually.
Yeah, because I know that there's a number of people who say Series 18 was better, and looking back at the episodes, yeah, technically it was, but Series 19 was more fun, and I'm going to stand by that because you never knew what to entirely expect from an episode. And because of that, even if you didn't like an episode, watching it was an experience and a half.
Yeah.
Very true.
I thoroughly enjoyed every episode, to be honest with you.
They had their fun. Like, I guess the only one that like annoyed me, I guess, would be Rocky Rescue, because there's only so much incompetence you can really have with a rescue team that's done 1,000 rescues.
It's very true. You'd feel like they were beyond that. And every episode, even if there were like duds here and there that were redeeming qualities, we also never got an episode showing the dynamic of the rescue team. So I was like grateful for that exposure, but I was also like, they should be more fine-tuned at this point, and
I think,
Captain's useless.
yeah,
You know?
I think it's less the issue that they're incompetent in Rocky Rescue, but they had an episode earlier in the season about them how good they are. So it's just a bit off to have an episode where they're really good and then an episode where they're really bad. I think what they should do is convert the rescue center to be like Tracy Island from Thunderbirds and give each rescue vehicle their own Thunderbirds launch. Yeah, you know, it's gonna be what that would be wonderful though, because it would just be like every vehicle would get their own Thunderbirds launch except Rocky because he can do nothing.
Well, based off of Sodor's track record, Rocky is probably the most used. Tell you the
Yeah.
truth. Because there can't be a fire every day, even though it seems like there is. And Harold flies around patrolling, but like freight cars derail constantly. No, I think Rocky sees the most action, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
he
But you
sees the
get
most
really,
action, but it's probably not out of choice.
Yeah.
yeah, you get quite philosophical with that. I mean, he can rescue stuff when he's there, but what if there's not an engine to get him there?
Oh, and on that deep philosophical note, we shall move on to the next few segments. Because Matt,
Yeah.
I could segue.
That was the worst segue we've done.
Well, no, I think the segue where we just cut and then moved on to the next thing without a segue was the worst segue.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, see, I'm right.
This is gold, guys. We're keeping this.
Yes, of course we're keeping this. I'm probably going to end up editing it. So, are you ready to be introduced to our most famous section of the show? Are you ready to be cast out to the other railway? Wibbly, 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 wibbly.
Oh, is that like rocket power? Woogity, woogity, woogity? The thing they did with their hands?
Yeah, why not?
Right, we've got the title of the episode. Woogity, woogity, woogity.
Woogity, woogity, woogity.
George, find the sections.
Please keep that.
Yes, we are keeping. Well, I'm probably not going to edit anything from this. This has been like the worst in terms of professionalism, but the best in terms of sheer comedy. Right.
Ooh.
Yes, these are the sections. We'll read them out. I'll edit this bit out because this is just explaining stuff that the audience can't see.
This is where I drank the Kool-Aid, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I shall drink my Ribena, rich in vitamin C. Reading the bottle.
These are good questions.
And that's this
tried and tested.
Tried and tested on other victims in the other victims who've been sent to the other railway. Survival rate is currently at 80%. We don't speak of the 20. That was awfully dark.
I think those are all of the statements as well, by the way. I think. Don't hold me to that.
I will hold you to this, George.
Oh, he will.
Yeah. This whole podcast was your idea. All those years
that
ago.
is true. All that 1 year ago.
Well, oh yeah, happy 1 year anniversary of Thom-Cast that we totally missed.
Wait, it's today?
No, it was last month.
Oh, well.
We did nothing
We
for it.
didn't even drop a tweet.
Yeah. Oh, we're the worst. Right. So, are you sitting comfortably on the other railway, Matt?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you are.
Don't sit on the line. That's quite dangerous.
Yes, I heard there's this thing called electricity and overhead power lines.
No, I learned that the hard way. Don't worry.
And
I
big
learned
trains
my
that can run you
lesson.
over.
Yes, and diesels can be devious. Right. So, you're only allowed to take a few certain Thomas-related items with you to live out the rest of your days on the other railway. And the first is you should choose one Thomas movie. What would that be?
Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. I think it's the best one they've made yet.
George, you owe me a $5. Called it. Okay, cool. Right, and moving on from that, one classic episode, so that would be series 1 to 7, ish. So that's a lot of episodes to choose from.
I will choose the episode with the best pun in Thomas history, Break Van.
No, the thing.
Why do you like Break Van? What draws you to Break Van particularly?
Well, I listened to George Carlin growing up, and even though his Scottish accent wasn't the best, I loved it as a kid. And I really I would always, my mom remembers this, I would always ask for my deputation tape so I could watch Donald and Douglas's arc over and over again. She said that I was obsessed with them for some reason. And it still is very dear to my heart these days. I just love how I think as a kid, I knew when I watched it, oh, there are 2 crashes in one episode, man, and I'd be so pumped about that. But I also just love the characters. I love Donald and Douglas.
Yes, because as we all know, Matt was a druggy hippie in his days as a child.
Oh, I remember my fond days as hippie Matt from ages from 93 to 97.
Yeah. I was going to say about the pun, I still find it hysterical how many people don't realize it's a pun and think that's the genuine spelling of a break van.
I was so embarrassed because I was spelling it like break van for the longest time. Then no, this revelation, it's the best pun in Thomas history, hit me like last year. And I'm like, how could I have been so blind?
So many people, it gets quite adorable after a while. You just sort of go, when you hear about people like making a mistake, you just sort of, you don't get mad, you just go, oh, that's nice. Moving on. Your favorite new episode, so that's post series 8.
I would have to say Duck and the Slip Coaches.
Oh.
It's not. Yeah.
Sorry, George. What was that? Oh.
No. It was like. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice episode.
I know you're a duck hater.
I'm not a duck hater. I just
no, you're
think
not.
No, I'm gonna shut up.
Well, it's not just because of Duck, but also, I like the classic feel. It is not a perfect episode, but the fact that they introduced something so Great Western and so railway-oriented in the way it was presented, I just really enjoyed it. It was really refreshing to see, and when I saw the title before the episode came out, I was like, there's no way. No way. And then it happened. And even though the Fat Controller manages to get slip coaches to come to the railway in under 8 hours, it's still a very awesome episode to me.
Well,
no, definitely. I'd agree about the classic element of bringing in like a piece of railway technology and kind of utilizing it in the plot. I think that works really, really well.
You know what they say about the Fat Controller? He has very long fingers reaching into the criminal underground world of Sodor. His ability to summon...
He is the gangster of Sodor.
He is the Fat Tony of all Fat Tonys.
He's such a scandalous character. Like when he gets that gift for the Duchess of Boxford and makes Percy deliver it for her, like personally, I'm just like, what is going on over there? Like I thought there was someone mentioned this on Twitter. There might be a scandalous affair going on with the Duchess of Boxford and Sir Topham Hatt.
Oh well, Thom-Cast exclusive.
I'm down for it. I think that'll be a very interesting story.
So you meant you were down for it?
I just hope there's no merchandise.
Scandal. It's a very different thing. Yes, next thing. Right. One railway series book.
I wonder what I will pick.
Oh god. Okay, you will get a bonus point if you don't choose that. You will get a bonus point if you don't choose that.
Okay, I will go for the bonus points then. Mainline engines would be my second favorite.
Is that the book before or the book after?
Oh, I don't. No, I think. It might be. Oh, no.
I bet it is. I'm gonna wiki this now.
All right. Well, Edward's exploit is my favorite Thomas story. It really is. I read it before I took the SATs, and even though I didn't do that great, it gave me hope. So that was really helpful.
It's 2 books before, by the way. So.
Okay.
You were close.
That was pretty close.
I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah.
Mainline engines is just such
I
written
remember.
book in comparison to all the others, I think.
I remember as a child, the illustrations for Edward's exploits always confused me because that was the sort of it was those illustrations that made me go, wait a minute, the trains have tongues, and then child me went because it has like that one picture of Edward sticking his tongue out, and I'm like, what do they taste? Why do they taste?
Is it Wrong Road that's in mainline engines?
I think
Yeah, Wrong
it
Road.
is, yeah.
I have to say that station is terrifying.
Yeah.
Faces in that. Go and check that out, any people listening on the wiki. There's one illustration of Edward and Gordon at the station.
It's so grungy and like mysterious
It's
and
like
weird.
it's like film noir.
Noir, perfect word. Yeah.
It's just that sort of.
Mm.
I wish they filmed stuff like that. That's what I would do for like a Thomas movie or something. Just like it wouldn't sell well with the kids, but it would look cool.
It depends
Yeah.
on the kids. As a kid, I ate up season 5 with a spoon. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
But then again, when you're a kid, you eat up anything with a little blue tank engine with a spoon.
That's pretty true, but when season 5 came out, even as a kid, I was like, there's something different about this. The stakes were a lot higher. Like I was expecting like, oh, just some happy stories, and then like I had the lights turned off and I'm just watching like a ghost model of Skarloey fall into this abyss, and I'm like, I am actually terrified and I like it.
Mother, I need thine help.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing in my entire existence on Earth has terrified me as much as Boulder, I'll be honest.
Boulder is so interesting. Like I feel like it's one of those things where like David Minton was like, "There's something I've always wanted to do," and Britt's just like, "What?" And I'm like, "You're not gonna like it."
I agree. It feels kind of out of place, but I think sometimes the more quirky Thomas stories are the
Imagine if
fondly
they pitched
remembered.
that today.
I think they'd get away with it.
I don't think they would in the way they executed it then.
Just because I've seen the Globe episode, I don't want them to do Boulder. It was just a little too like sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows the way they did it. So Boulder would be it'd be hard to match that intensity unless it was like in Boulder Quarry
Unless it
or
was
just
set during nighttime.
Well, maybe Globe
night
is
Boulder
Boulder's
scene?
brother
Oh,
or sister. I don't discriminate.
maybe Globe was carved from Boulder. Maybe the Globe is just Boulder's animated corpse.
Maybe it's like an artsy short film about like the Boulder and the Globe wanting to be together. They take place at the same time.
Maybe it's just an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine we're looking a bit too deep into. Moving on.
I think we're not looking deep enough.
Well, you can dig in your own time. Next one, a song.
Can it be like a specific piece in an episode or a movie?
A song with lyrics, I think it was. Yeah, it has to be a song with lyrics.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Song with lyrics. I am going to really think about this one. The Island Song. I think everyone says that, but it's beautiful.
I think that's the first choice of our... Yeah, I think it is.
Right. So the next one is merchandise. So this can be literally any form of, it could be like a t-shirt or a toy or anything.
Okay, I think my wooden railway Arthur is my favorite.
Arthur?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Everyone has like you have your favorite Thomas character, and then you have your sort of favorite, like irrational Thomas favorite, where you're just like, he doesn't do much, but I really like him, and that's my Arthur.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
And the last section, which is probably the strangest because it's not physically possible, but then again, you're not actually on the other railway. Which character would you take with you? So, like, which character would you have as your companion?
That's a very good question. Maybe Rheneas, voiced by Ben Small.
So I just love the
that
specificity. Yeah, I just love how specific that was. Where you're like Rheneas, but not just any Rheneas, the one voiced by Ben Small. It's like, that was wonderful.
Yeah, like I just love the voice he did for Renee, and I really hope the new actor at least tries to replicate it or make it as nice. It's just one of those things where I'm like, when the narrow gauge engines returned, I'm like, wow, they have some good voices. Like Scarlowi and Rheneas, I was so impressed, and I would just talk to him all day, and he'd just be like, "Where's Victor?" And I'll be like, "Oh hi, like he's not here, but we can hang out."
It's like, how did you get here anyway? These aren't narrow gauge tracks. And then you guys would be sitting together in eternal silence on the other railway.
And then we'll have to talk to Gator about that, who runs on narrow gauge rails and arrives to Sodor.
I love the chaotic TV Louis engines again, and they had the Welsh voices. Everybody on YouTube decided theirs had to have Welsh voices as well. I do like that.
Right then. So that now that we're done with the other railway section,
Cool.
It's time to bring it all back home, round everything off with questions from Twitter.
Do we have those?
Yeah, I sent out a tweet, George. I was prepared.
Oh my god, that must be the first Thom-Cast tweet in like a year.
I know. Do you know when the last episode was uploaded?
When?
August. That's how out of the loop we've been.
Good god.
I know. It's terrifying.
Oh my god.
We're dead.
That is... No more. We shall get to this.
Right. Question 1. What are you looking forward to the most this year for Thomas and Friends?
I am really excited for season 20, as well as the new designs in the Great Race. I think they're really intriguing, and it's interesting to see, like, we've talked about this before, but all these countries being represented, and that more nations in the world will have an engine saying, "It's Thomas and Friends, I love this show, but that's our engine." I think that's a really cool thing that people can access. And also the possibility of Donald and Douglas and Daisy getting episodes is really like, I've wanted Daisy to come back for a long time, so I'm really excited for that.
George?
Oh, me too.
Oh yeah, you're just really excited for Daisy.
No, Daisy. I would definitely agree, actually. I'm really looking forward to the multicultural kind of aspect of this year. I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Matt put it much better than I could, that it's going to be interesting that, there's going to be engines that are going to belong to a country almost, but are also crossover. That's going to be really fun to see.
I'm looking most forward to the song that's going to be sung by Joe Mills in the voice of Toad, Oliver, Donald, and Douglas.
I am so happy about that, but I can't believe he responded to that tweet. Oh my gosh. I just sent like a little winky face tweet at him, and he just basically confirmed it, and I was like, yes!
I think
it's going to be beautiful.
I think what was another funny thing was I tweeted him a recording of Neil's very temporary impersonation of Toad. And I jokingly said, he may be good enough to replace you one day, and he favorited it. Does he not want to be Toad anymore?
Subtle.
Subtle.
Right, next question. This one is... Oh, the next two are directly aimed towards Matt. So, how do you like to go about introducing new characters? Do you have a strict timeline, or is that impossible? I assume this is about your personal series.
Okay. Basically, I know how the series is going to end, but I've structured it so when there are characters being introduced that I don't know about, I sort of make these ambiguous parts of the series where I can fill in the new characters a little bit. And there are times where I just do one-off things too, just for fun, so I can keep following the arc that I want to do, but also introduce the new characters, because I always love fleshing out the new faces, because Thomas and Friends is moving at such a fast pace these days. Some of these characters sort of say hello and then they're gone for a while again, because there's 6 characters every year and Wooden Railway exclusives. It's just really hard to make sure everyone gets their part. So that's why episodes about Logan happen. I always love giving engines some screen time that normally wouldn't have some. But the timeline isn't strict. I wish it was more strict. But I do know the end goal, and I really hope I get there.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Will you ever remake any more of your season 1 episodes?
I will do it less often than I used to. I'm really focusing more on moving forward than refining the past work. I might just leave it that way. But I'm not saying never, but it's not my focus right now.
I think that's more ideal, because what's done is done, and with past episodes, unless you have like something majorly different to tell, like when you extended that 2-minute episode into like half an hour, I think it's worth moving forward than focusing on changing the past.
Absolutely. So I Snowblind is where I realized like this is too far. This is too much. You gotta tone.
At the same time, if I could go back in time and edit every single Thom-Cast into some perfect utopian vision, good God, I would.
If I could go back in time and make sure George and Matt were reliable and we actually managed to get more episodes done, I would. There's my dig of the week.
I think if it has, because I came in late, we're aiming to do one a month at least, hopefully this year. I think it should be a lot more consistent now.
I mentioned this. Okay. I also pointed out how we missed the first month.
Oh.
Yeah.
Blame Skype.
Well.
It wasn't our fault. Skype died last week, but we were meant to be recording.
I think last year was kind of testing out what worked and what didn't, and we got some really nice feedback, so I think this year will be the year to just punch it, you know?
Wait, you read the feedback?
No.
Okay,
yes.
I'm joking.
I do.
Don't kill us! Right. That's okay. Here's an interesting question. What's your favourite episode of your own series? I think we can all answer this, because I think that will give some interesting answers.
Sometimes it's the one that I'm currently working on becomes my favorite. I'm like, all the other ones are just like, oh, that was terrible, and this one's good. This is the best one. But I think Cannon Fodder is actually my favorite. That's a long time ago.
George? Is it going to be the episode starring Rusty, by any chance?
Let me. I
can I tell the story of George enterprising into?
Go on.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, like so.
Is this about his Donald and Douglas audition? Because that is.
Oh, it wasn't even bad. I just like.
Oh, I don't know. Have you been back there recently?
It's not. No, it's not that it's bad. It's George's It's present day George's reaction to that.
They want to slightly slip it off, sir. You can hear who it is.
You're saying that?
Like, George was one of the first auditions I actually ever got. And it was one of those things where like I was getting auditions. But sometimes the mics weren't that great, and I wanted to include everybody. But every once in a while, I got an audition where I was just like, "Oh my gosh! Like George, you were such a good actor before puberty." Like it was incredible. Like you did not even have the best mic, but it was just one of those things where like this is a really good actor. And I was just so happy that you had sent that in. So I had you, I think, immediately cast as either Rusty or Fergus. And now Thomas too.
George, I think you should have that.
Thank you.
George, I think you should have that quote framed.
Yeah, thank you. I was better at before puberty.
Oh no, you're still George, you're still. But you definitely sounded so young in your first audition. I found it recently, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's little George."
I was gonna say, sorry. I think I've remembered it now. I think my favorite episode of yours, honestly, is Bon Voyage.
Oh,
that's an episode I find that.
Which one is that?
I haven't seen it in ages, to be honest with you. It's for Duck, I believe. I just remember
Oh.
it came out, and I just watched again and again and again. And it's quite an old episode now, I think, but
I think it was the first or second one I filmed at the pool, actually.
Oh god, there's something so refreshing about someone, normally you might try and get some blue card for a pool and you just go, you know what, screw it, I'm getting a swimming pool.
Well, it's not so much that, but like let's face it, he's been working with wooden trains and not backmans. I think he's more willing to take the risk.
Yeah, that's true.
Because usually you have to have a broken Bachmann model to risk putting it in the water. But it does ruin wooden trains too, and I've been brutal to my poor Boko on multiple occasions.
It's just Boko. Who cares about him?
Yeah.
Boko abuse.
Clearly.
Right. Okay. Here's a question. I think it'll be our last. Yeah, this will be our last question. If you did a crossover with another fan series, whose would you and why?
The most surprising crossover I've ever done was with Ginger Percy, and it was hilarious. It was so much fun to do because I think I asked him if we could just do something together while I was in New Zealand. And I just said, like, we are so different and no one would see this coming. Could we please work together? And he said, absolutely. But everyone watched the video just to see if I would curse in it, which I didn't yet. But if I ever work with him again, maybe I would go a little more into raunchy territory. We'll see. But it was just, it was so well animated, and it was just really cool. But if I did a crossover with a fan series, I don't think this would work. But Hayden made a wooden railway Ramona, and that gave me ideas. I thought that'd be really cool. I don't think that could ever work, but like I would consider making a Ramona because it looked that cool.
Yeah.
That's
enterprising lines. Food for thought.
Oh God.
And now
what a way to end
into a horrific existence.
Roll that clip.
Quick, get the clip.
Or maybe someone find it and then edit it in the cut.
Right, that's it. We're back in business, Thom-Castians. Yeah, I'm giving you guys a fan name now.
For better or worse. Probably worse.
I'm gonna have faith until you go off partying again. Yes, it's good to be back. Good podcast. No one was horribly insulted.
On the show, Matt. I was only on here for about half of it, I think, but it's been really nice catching up.
Yes, very nice catching up. I'm sorry that I've fallen off the face of the earth for a while, but George, all right, I think we're still on the air. However, George, I do want to catch up with you on things, definitely. I'm sorry that I've been like a hermit. But in between nights of drunken debauchery and filming wooden blocks of wood, I have just been all over the place.
Something you two have in common.
I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. I think it seems like you've got some really interesting things planned. I'm looking forward to it.
Well,
I think that's what this episode should be about. The future.
Promising we'll make things that we totally won't.
Well, we will make it eventually.
Eventually.
But yes, wonderful having you on, Matt.
Yes, thank you so much.
It's our pleasure.
Yes, I think that's the ending music probably playing now at this point. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
So long. Believe in yourself.